Welcome, friends, to Mini Myths from Athena to Zeus by the Hellenic Museum. Here we tell the myths and legends of the ancient Greeks in the same way they would have heard them thousands of years ago, through voice and song. Now, let's dive into the story. Today, we sing the song of Perseus and Medusa. Let's journey together back in time to a deep, dark, underground palace built with bronze. There was just one lonely person locked inside it, Danae, the princess of Argos. Danae was the most beautiful girl in the Argolid, but she had been locked inside her bronze prison since she was a young girl by her own father, King Perseus. For years, Danae had stared up through the hole in the ceiling that served as her only window, wondering what she could have done to deserve her punishment. Only King Perseus knew the truth. Long ago, King Perseus had travelled across the land and sea to ask the Oracle of Delphi if he would ever have a son. Like many kings of his time, he longed for a son to carry on his bloodline. The Oracle, sitting on her three-legged tripod, replied, "King Perseus, try as you might, a son will never be born to your line. Your daughter's son will be born in the light. Your murder will be his terrible crime." King Perseus was horrified. He dashed out of the temple of Apollo and took his men straight back across the sea to his golden palace at Argos. As his ship rocked and creaked across the narrow sea, King Perseus hatched a plan. "My grandson, my murderer! This will never be. I will never have a grandson. Danae can never marry." The only sure way for King Perseus to never have a grandchild would be to put his daughter to death. But he could not do it. He had no great love for Danae, but he did have a terrifying fear of the gods. Those who killed their children were given the gods' very worst punishments. Instead, King Perseus built Danae an enormous prison of bronze and locked her inside, so no man could ever see her. But as Danae grew older, she only grew brighter and lovelier. Danae grew so fair and beautiful that as she peered up at the clouds through the hole in her ceiling, Zeus, the king of the gods, took notice of her from above. One day, as Danae was napping under her window, she felt a droplet of something fall in her arms. The droplet started to fall thicker and faster, and Danae's eyes flew open to see that she was covered in liquid gold. She laughed with delight, watching the glittering shower of golden rain pour in through the ceiling. In time, Danae realized that she had been visited by the god of the sky and storms himself, Zeus. 9 months later, Danae was joined in her bronze prison by her little son, who she called Perseus. Danae tried to keep Perseus a secret from her father, but she couldn't hide the energetic child for long. When King Perseus finally saw the little boy, he rushed to Danae with his guards and roared, "Who could possibly be the father of this thing?" Danae trembled with fear at the sight of her furious father, but proudly replied, "The father of your grandson Perseus is none other than our greatest lord, Zeus. With golden rain, he chose me as the mother of his baby." King Perseus could not believe what he had heard. He knew the gods would certainly punish him for murdering his daughter and grandson, especially if what Danae said was true. But he could condemn them to near certain death. He and his guards bound up Danae and Perseus, locked them in an enormous wooden chest, and pushed it out into the ocean. Danae and Perseus tossed and turned inside the chest, waiting to sink under the waves. But mysteriously, the tossing began to stop. The chest began to float smoothly across the salty water, and soon, Danae and Perseus felt the chest stop on soft land. They had landed on the island of Seriphos. A fisherman named Dictys found the chest stranded on the beach and hacked it open. His jaw dropped at the sight of the beautiful princess and tiny child inside. He took them both to his little home and his sweet wife Clymene. The couple had no children, and they soon looked upon Danae and Perseus as part of their own family. Perseus grew up to be tall, strong, and as handsome as his mother was beautiful. Everyone assumed he would become a fisherman like his adopted father one day. Danae was glad that Perseus would live a quiet life out of harm's way. But something inside Perseus whispered to him that he was destined for greatness. He knew he was capable of being more than a humble fisherman. When Perseus was fully grown, the family's peaceful life suddenly turned upside down. Dictys had a brother called Polydectes, but the man was nothing like his gentle brother. Polydectes was a cruel and ruthless man who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. He had become the ruler of the little island of Seriphos, and as he toured his island, he spotted Danae walking with his sister-in-law Clymene. Danae was still as radiantly beautiful as she had been when Zeus sent his shower of gold through her ceiling. Polydectes instantly fell in love with her, but when he noticed that she had a grown-up son, he knew he had to think of a way to get rid of the boy. Polydectes began to formulate his wicked plan. Polydectes announced to the people of the little island that he was going to be married and invited the men of the island to his palace for a celebration, including Perseus. As was customary, each man brought a gift for the unknown bride-to-be, except for Perseus. Polydectes knew the boy would have nothing to give his king. When the time came for Perseus to present his gift to Polydectes, he stood before all the men in the room and declared, "My king, I have no gift for our queen today. I am poor, but I am rich in other ways. I am strong and I can fight. Tell me what task I can do for you, sir. I'll do anything you ask." "You disappoint your king, boy. Such terrible rudeness, such an insult deserves a great gift of my choosing. Only one task will do. You won't refuse my request. Boy, bring me the Gorgon Medusa's head." The crowd looked at King Polydectes with horror. Medusa was the terrifyingly beautiful queen of the Gorgons, winged monsters with a tangle of snakes growing out of their head instead of hair. Any person who looked at a Gorgon's head was instantly turned to stone. Moreover, no one knew where the Gorgons lived. Polydectes knew that Perseus was going to fight a battle he could never win. No mortal could defeat Medusa. But Perseus was not a mortal. He was the son of Zeus. He ran straight to the docks and jumped on a ship, not wanting to tell his mother what he had agreed to do. Perseus travelled across Greece asking anyone he could find if they knew where the Gorgons lived, with no success. Just when Perseus was in the depths of despair, a young man suddenly appeared to his left, wearing golden-winged sandals. He was Hermes, the messenger god, and another son of Zeus. On his right appeared a regal woman in full armour and a determined face. This was Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. Perseus instantly recognized his half-siblings and trembled from head to toe. Hermes spoke first. He said, "Young Perseus, we will help you in your quest. As another child of Zeus, we admire your strength. But without us, you'll feel nothing but despair. Only we, can guide you to the Gorgon's lair. To start, you'll need to see the Grey Women, who have just one eye and share it between them. Make them tell you the way to the nymphs, who will then give you their magical gifts. Once you have everything, I'll give you a sword to end Medusa's life once and for all." Athena took off her polished bronze shield and held it out to Perseus. She said, "Use my shield when you attack the Gorgon. Her snakes cannot harm you in their reflection. Look only into its surface to see where to strike, and you will survive her deadly sight." Perseus took the shield in awe and thanked both gods, tongue-tied in their presence. Hermes and Athena took Perseus' hands, and the three began their journey to see the Great Women. The rest of Perseus' story is for another day. Thank you for listening to Mini Myths from Athena to Zeus. If you like today's podcast, you can subscribe for future episodes, or share this one with friends. You can also follow the Hellenic Museum on social media or pay us a visit here in Melbourne. To hear the rest of Perseus' story, tune in to next week's episode. Yastas for now.
This podcast was recorded on Wurundjeri land. We pay our respects to their elders past and present. This episode was performed by Aaron James, written by Natasha Marinopoulos, with sound design and mix by Greek Media Group. The Hellenic Museum thanks you for bringing this story to life.